Hi everyone, welcome back to Cogni Solver. So in last video we have seen how to do server-side validation using HTMX and backend as a Python, and we use Flask there in Python. So in this video we're going to talk about client-side validation. For that we have to write a little JavaScript. So I'll do what? I'll write the JavaScript here and then I'll explain you. Okay, so I've written this JavaScript. I'll explain you what it actually does. Basically, we are getting this sign up form from the document by ID, right? So we have this sign up form here, so which we are selecting, and on this sign up form we are adding an event listener. What is that? HTMX before request. Okay, so when we click submit, right, so HTMX post is being triggered, but before HTMX post is triggered, there is a request called before request. There's a event will be triggered by HTMX, right? So we'll catch that event. Basically we'll listen that event, and when that event will be triggered, we'll run a function, a callback function, which will take that event, and then we'll get our username, email and password from the form fields, and we'll have our client side validations. So if username is not null, email is not null, password is not null, so if any of this is does not have any values, then I will say all fields are required in red color, and then password must be at least 6 characters for the password validation. You can have username validation as well. So what will happen now, once I click submit, it will not go to the backend server. Okay, it will not go to the backend server. It will come to the client side validation first. After client side validation is successful, then only it will go to backend server. So we can actually check that theory. So in our backend server, what is the validation? All fields are required, that validation is there, username validation is there, and password validation is there. But in our client side, we have only all fields required and password validation. Okay, so if I give username only 2 characters and email, I'll give email maybe, okay, for the first time let's not give these values. I'll just keep it empty and click submit. I'll just clear the logs as well, so that you can see if any request is coming to backend, the logs will be printed, right? Click submit. See, no logs are printed in the terminal. That means request did not go to backend, right? It was intercepted here itself, and this error message we are seeing. For the clarity purpose, we can say all fields are required. Maybe you can have this here. This is client side validation. Okay, now I'll just click submit. You see, this is a client side validation. All fields are required. So this is not coming from backend, right? This is how you intercept your request before going to backend. You can validate in this UI side as itself, right? So now we'll have this like AB, and this will have email and password will have 1 2 3 4. Okay, fine. So if I click submit, now it should be going to backend or frontend. Okay, so first of all it will come to client side validation only, but client side username will be passed because username is not null or empty at this time. Email will also pass because it is also not null or empty. Password will fail because password should have at least 6 characters, but we have given 4 or 5 characters. Let's submit it. Says password must be at least 6 characters, and this is coming from here. Why? Because we cannot see any logs in terminal. Now as soon as I give password as 6 characters, now password is also will pass from the client side. Username will also pass client side, and email will also pass from client side. But in servers, after that it will go to server side, and server side our username will be caught as a valid as a not valid username because it will have less than 3 characters. Okay, let's test that theory, and as soon as it will go to server, you can see the logs here itself in the terminal. Click submit. You see the logs are here, and it says username must be at least 3 characters, meaning it first went to the client side validation, passed all the validation, then only it went to server side validation, and then we have our server side validation here. If I say okay, Cogni Solver, perfect, I'll submit. Says welcome Cogni Solver, sign up successful. So this was client side validation. So now while server side validation is great, but we don't want to send a request every time a user makes a tiny mistake, right? So we can have these client side validations as well, right? if you want to make a real-time validation, right? I mean, as soon as I'm typing the password, right, maybe, so it will have some validation. Okay, must be 3 characters or 4 characters. That validation will be showing here, not after clicking the submit button. Maybe live, I'm just the moment I'm typing from keyboard or keypad, right? So that also we can do actually, right? Okay, so for that, in our server side, we have this little piece of code where we have added a new endpoint called validate username, right? And it will accept a post method, and it will validate the username separately. If it is less than 3 characters, so it will say less than 3 characters. Okay, so we can do one thing. We can come here and the input type username, right here. Here we can do a hx post where it will be same and same URL, but the endpoint will be different at this time. Endpoint would be this validate username. After that, we can tell HTMX when to trigger this, right? So we can have hx trigger. If you don't give this hx trigger, it will be a default behavior. Post will be anywhere. If any button is submit of type submit, it will be clicked, so this form will be posted, right? But we can override this by hx trigger, right? We can say hx trigger input. So whenever his input is happening in this field, whenever the user is inputting this field, then only, and what input change, right? So whenever his input is changing in this field, then trigger this request with a delay. We can give a delay also of 500 milliseconds, right? Sorry, will be a colon here, right? 500 milliseconds. So once input is changed in this username field, after 500 milliseconds, a post request will be sent to this endpoint. That is the meaning of this. Okay, and we have to define a target as well, where to show the error message. So we'll say hx target. We'll have have to create a new div. Maybe we can give the ID as maybe username error. That's good. Username error. Perfect. Now I have to create a div with this ID. Just before the response, we can create that. Okay, username error. So in the course thing, we haven't added this. We have only added this sign up, right? Maybe we can have star here for now, so that it allows all the endpoints. Perfect. Okay, you see, username must be at least 3 characters coming from the backend. So if I just type A, B, C, after typing C, that error went, right? See, if I type only A, B, it is there. If I type C, it went. So as soon as 3 characters is completed, so that validation is not there. So with this particular attribute hx trigger, where we are saying if this input is changed, then after 500 milliseconds, fire this request and show the response in the hx target, right? Yeah, so with this, if the user stops typing, then it sends a request to the backend and shows the response in this target. And just like that, we have built a fully validated form using HTMX. We have got server-side validation to ensure proper data submission. We have client-side validation to prevent unnecessary requests. We have real-time validation as well for a smoother user experience. HTMX makes this all super simple. No need for heavy JavaScript frameworks, right? So if you found this useful, smash that like button, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you want to see next. Okay, so let's meet you in the next one. Till then, keep coding and keep learning. Bye bye.